show it to. We all have bad habits we wish we could break. It's normally a part of our New Year's resolution to try to stop doing something that's bad for us or to pick up some healthier habits. Joining me now on the program, author Doug Grady. Doug's book, The Ripple Effect, right here, helps you learn the art of breaking a bad habit. Doug, let's talk about this a little bit. How hard is it to break those bad habits?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Adam. I really appreciate it. And it can be very, very challenging. And really the first step is making a decision. You've got to make a decision and say, you know, no matter what, this is coming to an end. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to break this bad habit. And that's a step most people never get to.
Right. And so what advice do you have? Let's talk about, for example, somebody that has a smoking habit. I mean, this is one that people struggle with.
Right.
And, you know, they try all sorts of things, and, you know, it's really difficult, I think, for people to break that habit. And when they do, it's pretty amazing. So what would you suggest?
Well, you know, I speak from experience. I actually smoked for over 20 years. In 2003, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And first I made a decision. I made a decision that I'm going to find a way to quit smoking. And I had this plan. I was going to go from 19 cigarettes in one day down to 17, down to 15, down to 12. And over the course of 7 days, I was going to wean this out. And so that was my plan. That's what I thought initially. Didn't work out exactly as I planned. Now, meanwhile, about 3 months earlier, a friend of mine had kind of dared me to throw my hat in the ring for this New York lottery system to run the marathon.
Wow.
I'd never run for more than 5 miles in my life. But so Wednesday comes along, and I'm at, you know, cigarette 9 or 10 for that day. And congratulations via email, you're in the New York City Marathon.
Wow.
So I think to myself, looks like I picked the right week to quit smoking. Saturday came around. Now, this is the clincher. Saturday came around. This is the day it was my last cigarette. Final cigarette, number 1. Smoked it by 8 a.m. By 8:30, I wanted another one. And I thought about, this is a turning point for me. I've got a potential marathon on my plate that I committed to do if I got into the lottery system, or I can keep smoking. So what I chose to do that day, I went out and I bought a $200 pair of running shoes. Never spent that much money on a pair of running shoes before in my life. And I said to myself, well, if I start smoking again, I'm going to destroy this $200 pair of running shoes. So it was like that last bit of leverage. It was like looking for these unseen forces coming to your aid, someone once said. And when that finally happened, when I got this leverage on myself, that's what finally did it. That was my last cigarette. I started training that day for the New York City Marathon, and 3.5 months later, I ran it. So there's a couple things at play here. First, you got to make a decision. You got to be prepared for the pain, and you really got to get leverage. And that external leverage, it kind of came to me by chance, is the thing that pushed me over the edge and got me to give it up completely. But we can create this leverage on our own without depending on, you know, outside forces to come into play.
It's like that leverage is a challenge. And in this case, you had the marathon.
Right.
And you had a decision to make. And that, you know, prompted you to make a big time decision, which you did. And you chose to purchase the expensive running shoes and make the commitment to the marathon, which is great.
Right.
And so giving yourself something like that oftentimes will help you make the turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the worst habits can be really let go of by replacing them with healthy habits. So when I wanted a cigarette, I would go running, or I would do push-ups, or I would chew on some celery. I mean, not always the most pleasant experiences at that time. I certainly would have preferred at that moment to pick up another cigarette. But you got to make a choice in that moment. Are you going to keep on with that particular habit, or are you going to do something else?
So talk to me about, in your book, The Ripple Effect, talk to me about your online program, the 40 Days of Focus. What's that?
Well, the subtext of The Ripple Effect is that one simple choice can change the course of your life. And it happened for me roughly 3.5 years ago. I mean, I was full of bad habits. I was physically out of shape. I was mentally off. My finances were a wreck. I had a company that was hemorrhaging money. And if you look at it, it was all just a culmination of my habits. And what I ended up doing is I was challenged by a man. His name is Scott. He said, I challenge you to do one personal choice. In this case, it was 30 consecutive days. And it had been 7-8 months since I'd exercised. I was sedentary. I don't get big. I just get kind of lethargic and tired and frail. And so I made a commitment to exercise 30 minutes per day for 30 consecutive days. It was one simple choice. And what happened in my life is by paying attention to the impact of this choice, the integrity, the discipline, doing it when I didn't want to do it. This one choice transformed every area of my life. So a couple years later, I put this in a program, and we're challenging people to take on one simple choice. We're at day 3. Today is Sunday. We kick this thing off on Friday. And every day they'll do one simple choice. They'll do it for 40 days. And this choice will transform every area of their life.
This is great information. Doug Grady, the author of The Ripple Effect, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And this is a great book, a motivational book to kind of get you on track. And if you'd like more information about it in the 40 Days of Focus, log on to Doug's website, and it's highachiever.com/40 days, right?
That's right. Highachieverswithan.s.com.
Highachieverswithan.s.com /40 days. Good information. Thank you, Doug, for being on the show. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this to wrap up Public Affairs on Beach.